without further ado, this is Dos Guiris. You already know what it is. What's this guy's name?
Andres.
That's Andres. Soy Miguel. And somos los dos guiris sin guía. Let's go.
Stop.
What's up, everybody? So we've got a great episode for you today. We're going to be talking about two particularly tricky verbs. And I remember when I was learning Spanish for the first time, I was told what the meaning of these words were, and what happened is it just confused me even more to hear one translation when it's really not that simple. It's a little bit more complicated.
Isn't that normally the case, man?
Yeah.
We might have to really do this for more verbs in the future. I'd love to hear what people think about talking about all the different definitions and really going deep into the verbs.
Absolutely. I think there are definitely certain verbs that are a lot more useful to do it with. For example, saltar, that means jump. You know, I mean, you can use it in a metaphorical way.
Skip something.
Yeah, I know, but you can also say jump in English for that if you kind of.
Yeah, just jump the bad chapters. It sounds a bit strange, but the idea is right there.
Or you can jump the line, you can jump someone in line.
But
anyway, I think there are certain verbs that are very difficult to learn. And then, so the two examples we're going to give today are Deber and Echar. So to start off, we're going to talk about Deber. And I remember in high school Spanish, I was always taught that this means should. And it was always very difficult for me to wrap my mind around that, because in English we use should as an auxiliary verb to a different verb. It only can be on the back of another verb. It's not like a normal infinitive. Versus in Spanish, this is just a normal. You can't say to should in English, But in Spanish, deber is just a complete infinitive that can stand by itself. So basically, the biggest distinction that I wanted to make is I was always under the assumption that this meant should, and then, so when I had moved to Spain, I think I was walking around telling people, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, thinking I was just being, I was thinking I was just being helpful and nice, and it turns out that debes doesn't mean should, it means must. So I feel like looking...
On top of that, you're using the to form, you dog.
Yeah, so I'm going around just totally informally telling everyone, trying to be el rey del mundo, trying to tell everyone, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. You not meaning to be bossy, but thinking back on those situations before I truly understood it, I can totally understand that a native speaker might have thought that I was trying to boss them around, because it's close enough to the true meaning of deber that it would be understood, but not exactly in the way that I wanted to be understood. So I wanted to share with some people and hopefully help you guys avoid making the same mistakes that I did. So anyway, yes, deber.
And
more.
Can I say something really fast,
go for
Mike? All right, so it bears bringing to light that you are correct that the infinitive can stand by itself in Spanish. But when we use it for you must do something or you should do something, then it continues to act like an auxiliary verb.
It is true.
In the great number of cases that you hear it, I think it's going to be an auxiliary, just so people don't think that they'll often encounter this verb in the, I'm not going to say what it means because it's going to be more
we're going to get there.
We're
going to get there. But yeah, the main point that I wanted to touch on with that is that in English, it's not really a verb by itself, Mm-hmm. It's not, it's you can only ever add it to things. I just wanted to show that it's a little bit different there, but you are completely right. In the instance that I'm talking about it right now, it does need another verb to go after it. So example, if I say, debes hacer la tarea, that means you must do your homework. Rather than saying you should do your homework, which I later learned was actually more similar to deberías hacer la tarea, which is it is the conditional form of deber. So to think about it, it's like you would must is kind of like should, But obviously in Dos Guiris we talk about how direct translations are never the real correct way to think about it. But it's just so you can kind of wrap your mind if you absolutely need to be able to translate it one way, you must. Kind of like you should. But anyway, so Andres is going to hop over here and take over with another way that you can say you should.
Well, what Andres is going to do is actually act like an auxiliary verb and jump on your back and provide a double example for that last one. So something I hear a lot out here is like, debes cumplir tus deberes. Something along those lines to say like you have to do your homework. And you'll notice that the plural of works or better yet, there's a noun that's deber also. And that means like obligations. And it's very general. So in the sentence, debes cumplir tus deberes, if a teacher is talking to their students, it means do your homework.
Well, it could also mean, if a father is talking to his son, it could mean like your chores, tus deberes. Yeah, just anything that you are obligated to do. So that's kind of goes along with another thing I wanted to ask you. So who would say debes to someone else? I'm trying to say that it would be more of a person in a position of authority saying it to a person less in a position of authority. For example, a teacher to a student or a parent to a child is a lot more common.
I think the best way to observe this is how often does a child say you must do something in English to a parent, or as a student saying that to the teacher, this is what you must do. Rather, they say something that's more in line with should or have to, and that goes back to suggestion. And then in Spanish, it's the same, where if you're using just the verb deber, like debes comer lo que queda en el plato, then you know that this is, I'm in a position to mandate that.
A little bit, yeah.
To an extent. So
yeah, exactly.
I agree with you, man. It's always coming from a point of authority.
Or at least it should be. And then the example, when I was saying it, when I had no authority over anybody, that was not the vibe that I wanted to be giving out. Not what I was trying to do. So anyway.
Boring being Mike in Madrid. Veer clear. Just use deberías.
Okay. But also, what's the other way that you can say should? You were telling me about this in our pre-chat.
Okay, cool. So you can attach a fancy little preposition at the end of deber and then make it work as a suggestion. And it's the quick and easy translation is should. So you want to say like, you should brush your teeth because your breath smells like ass. Something along these lines. Cool. You would say something like, debes de cepillarte los dientes que te huele fatal el aliento. Something like that.
So can we say the phrase is debes de. So you can say deberías cepillar los dientes, or you can say debes de cepillar los dientes también. We are already 8 minutes in, so I'm going to try to roll this a little bit quicker. Let's go to the next one. What's the next one we've got written down, Andres?
All right, so we talked already a little bit about using the pronominal se, right? Like, it's not reflexive, the pronominal se. And if you do this with deber, you're actually going to be talking about what something is due to. And I find this really useful. It was a good stepping stone in like realizing the usage of se. And you pointed out earlier, Mike, that se debe a is literally just es debido a.
Yeah.
And when you have those side by side, you can really see how like the reflexive se, the which says that the pronominal one, or you make the passive voice.
Yeah, the passive say. I would just call it the passive say.
Perfect. You can really see how that works. Now, an example of se debe a could be se debe a muchos factores desconocidos, right? It's due to a lot of unknown factors. And then something I want to point out just for curiosity's sake that it's probably drilling at home for a lot of you, but maybe for real beginners, you might not have noticed that all the prepositions have to start at the beginning, or at least that sentences cannot end with prepositions. So you would say, rather, nadie sabe a lo que se debe, right? No one knows what it's due to. And in case that's interesting to somebody out there, I always found it a little bit confusing to know where to place the preposition.
I think that's definitely good to touch on and to say. And then if we want to go more in depth on that, we could probably do that in a later episode. But it's absolutely good to mention that and be like, just so y'all know, it's got to be at the beginning, a lo que se debe, not se debe lo que a, you know. Okay, sweet.
Not just done. We got debido on.
Yeah, perfect.
Right, so this is the exact same meaning, but it's not the conjugated form. We just take the root of the verb, deber, and then we say debido, rather, and it means owed, right? So it's owed to.
Or it can also mean the same thing. It can also mean it's due to, as debido.
Yeah, it's owed to this one thing, it's due to this one thing. That's actually what I think I was aiming for. Thanks.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant like owe more in like the financial obligation type of sense. Yeah. But so that brings us into the other one too.
¿A qué se debe la crisis? That's a valid question, right? I'm sure a lot of people wanted to know the answer there. It's like, what's the crisis due to? And a crisis is an economic recession.
Yeah, what caused it? La puta crisis, if you want to throw an extra adjective in there, la puta crisis.
For those ready to advance to B2, perhaps C1 level, we strongly encourage la puta crisis, because they never heard separately.
Never, they really throw that in just about every time you hear the word crisis.
Yeah, formal settings included.
La puta crisis.
And to answer the question, you could use la crisis es debido a muchos factores.
There you go, exactly.
Right? And there you guys have. That's what I know about Deber. It's not a bunch, but if you can handle that, you're rocking it.
Okay, I wanna see if we can hopefully accelerate a teeny bit. I'm just gonna say what we were talking about before with financial obligation. Deber also has that meaning too. You could say me debes una, like Andres was saying earlier. You owe me one. If you say me debes una cerveza, me debes 10 pavos, you owe me $10. You can say you owe me whatever. And it can be, both joking around and be like, hey, you owe me one to your buddy. Or it can be literally someone actually owes you a certain thing. So I just wanted to say that briefly, although it is away from the other meanings of the verb, that is also a totally used meaning of it. Anyway, and then we've got one more for the verb, and then we're going to get into Echar super quick. But Andres, last one for the verb.
Okay, I'll make this as quick as possible, guys, but I recall always wanting to say, I should have, you should have, and then the past participle, right? Like, you really should have come to the party, right? Because it's not the same as you should come to the party. Now we're talking about the present. I'm just giving a suggestion, but all the time, I feel like our days are really loaded with stories about things that happened before, right? And I know that that's something that I say all the time. And he's just like, dude, you should have blah, blah, blah. Well, if you want to do that, we've got you covered. It's debería, like Mike was saying, plus the verb haber, the auxiliary haber, and then past participle. So to complete the illustration, you should have come, deberías haber venido. Or if you want to add emphasis, I hear it all the time here, te deberías haber venido. Yeah. You can include the reflexive.
Absolutely. And just to throw one more example on that, deberías haberlo hecho, you should have done it. Or I'm just going to throw this in very, very quickly. You can also put that in with could have done it. Podría haberlo hecho. Or no, that's podía. Sorry, not podría. Podía haberlo hecho. You could have done it. Anyway, okay, so that concludes our presentation of Deber, and we've got about 6 minutes to go into Echar. I think we can do it. So Echar is slightly different than Deber. I didn't actually really learn this verb. I don't know if I was ever taught this verb in high school Spanish, because it's very colloquial, it's very used in Spain. And on top of that, there's really no one good word at all that you can say that this is what it means. There just isn't. So we're just going to give different examples. So we've got 3 main meanings of it, and then we've got it used in a bunch of different colloquial phrases. And those ones is really, with the phrases, it's really hard to say what the English translation of it is. So we're just going to translate the phrases in general. But anyway, I'm going to start with, if your friend is on the sofa and he's being a gilipollas, he's being kind of a dick, an asshole, and he's taking up the whole couch and you want to sit down, you could tell him, hombre, échate un poco al lado. And that means scooch over a little bit. Not just up over a little bit, make some room for me, come on, dude. But anyway, so you could say HR like that. Andres, next one.
Okay, this one also, like you said, man, tough to translate, but I think if you just think about it conceptually, you'll be better off. So it's like to put into. So you can echar una cerveza a un vaso. That's like to fill a beer or pretty much to fill a beer.
But let me say this.
Echar
I think I would say, if I were going to do it with the beer one, I would say it more as a person asking somebody else. I'd be like, hombre, échame un poco al vaso, you know? Like, I guess you could say like, oh, low H-O al vaso. Like, you could say, I am pouring it. But I would be like more like asking someone for it. I'd be like, que me eches un poco, you know?
Yeah. And in both cases, we're still left with like the quandary of what's the best way to translate it, because in English we have this problem, not a problem, we're just very specific when it comes to adding things, right? And that's the whole concept here is if you want to add salt to your food, echa sal a la comida, or échale sal. You could also say add butter or add lemon juice, all these things. The thing is in English, we pick a different word. We say sprinkle, dash,
spritz, or squirt a little bit. You know, there's so many different things. And in Spanish, you're like, echa y ya está.
Yeah. So I hope that's clear. Anytime you want to essentially add something to another thing, I want to say like in a container, but not even that. It's a bit vague, but that's the meaning, you know? So, and the most common is going to be in the kitchen and pertinent to food. That's what I got for you guys.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to give one more of what just HR means, and I guess it's more of HR with day generally at the end. But if you are the bouncer at a bar, if you're working security, and someone is acting rudely and you got to kick them out, you echarle. You can HR someone from a bar, which means to kick out. And that's it. It's a common, not even a super common meaning of it, but that is one way. That is one meaning, one translation of what HR means. And now we're going to go into the ones that are used with other words that are more formed phrases, frases hechas. So Andres, without further ado, let's hear some of those.
Yeah, man. So let's see. I'm just gonna burn through these people. We got echar de menos, and that is to miss or to long for. You have echar un vistazo. That's to look at, to look over. Either one's probably adequate. Echar a perder. A little bit more explaining here. This is like to mess up or to ruin. So I might say, after living here and being really confident with my Spanish level, and then going back to the States and noticing that it's a bit degraded, I would say, pues, de volver a Estados Unidos y de solo hablar inglés, he echado a perder mi español. That's like, you know, after moving back to the States and by only speaking Spanish, I've practically ruined or messed up my Spanish. I said move back to Spanish, didn't I?
No pasa, hombre, no pasa nada. Se entiende.
No pasa nada. Something that I hear often in school, maybe it's just because these kids don't know how to behave, is echar una bronca. And teachers are always having to do this because that means, like, get upset verbally. Anytime you raise your voice and you get upset, echar una bronca. Next up, echar una siesta. That's pretty case specific to Spain. It means that you're going to take a siesta. That could be explained later. Then for us meatheads that think it could be advantageous to know how to challenge people to a arm wrestling match, you might want to say echar un pulso. Finally, and I think this is helpful, if you want to offer to help somebody else, you can say echar una mano,
You
right?
can also
And
say
that's
that.
like to lend a hand.
Absolutely.
Cool, people. Hope you guys loved it. I sure did.
And that is it. We've made it. So that was our topic for today. What we're gonna be trying out a few new forms for Dos Guiris. Like we did last week, we were talking about one of those hot button issues. Then we went back to grammar for today. Think we'll try another hot button issue for next week. But anyway, if you guys have any opinions, if you like one more than the other, maybe the grammar's more useful for you, maybe you like hearing about what life is like in Spain more, you can always let us know down in the comments. We are super open to hearing and listening to what you guys think also. Way down there, they're way down. I think we dropped them down on the floor or something. But anyway, Andres, you got anything to add to our wonderful público?
Que deberíais dejar unos comentarios para que vayamos leyéndolos y nos centramos de lo que la gente está buscando y quieren escuchar más.
Eso es.
Nice. That's all I got for you guys.
Ya está, ok. Entonces, bueno, hasta la próxima, gente. Venga.
Los Guiris, ciao.
Dos Guiris out.